Hello, everybody. Originally, I was going to do this on the day it released. However, the day before, I actually had a little small surgical procedure, which was planned. Nothing big. It was all fine. But I think I had hoped the power of a new event would sustain me. But the next day, I can't stream. No way. I yielded my flesh, but completely whiffed to claim their bones. Like, everything was fine. I'm fine. It's just, I wasn't up for it that entire week. I was grinding it, so I have to say, I was doing mirror dungeons. Of course, I did end up seeing, like, didn't really know what I was doing and ran into the bamboo-hatted Kim. So I have seen the fight, I have done the fight, but I did it the way Project Moon intended. I did not read. I never read. I do not know what his passives are. And yes, I've seen a funny counterman, yes. I have done that. I have lost units. I assume we'll be seeing him. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest here. I decided to do just the beginning of the event. So I peeked at some streams and picked what seemed to be the halfway point, which is here. I figured because after this, I do want to do a bit of dispensing and a bit of talk pre-Canto 6. So yes, we can talk about the new battle pass. It's not as bad as you think it is. Okay, thank you. So this is sort of what I've been rolling with, and it's been working. I did pick up all the Blade lineage units. If I wanted to, I could swap in, but I wanted, also what I was using Sinclair for is the Gluttony, so we can at least get representation emitter. We're not feeling ego super well in this, but let's go.
가스 점화! 엔진 시동!
Ishmael talks a lot. This is really good music, though. I hadn't actually heard it, really. Oh, there's the big ones. Thanks, Ishmael. Thank you, Sinclair. Sometimes the mic just disconnects. It happens. Oh yeah, someone asked about anime. I always love talking about the new season, and now the season's already almost over. But of course, I'm watching the one show I think everybody's watching, and then a show I don't think anybody is watching. Go for that one. Do we know? Yes, Pierce, so why not? It's neutral. But I think you can guess what the show everybody's watching is. Because I was grinding the notes, I hadn't heard this music until yesterday. It's really good. It should be fine. Yeah, it's unfortunate with everything. The timing for the new Canto isn't great either, because I'm like heading right into finals, so I'm a little concerned. Because there's a lot happening. But of course, the thing everybody's I think is watching is Dungeon Meshi. I'll read this just a sec. Which is, I've actually been reading the manga for years. For years and years. So, I knew it was good. It's really good. And I recommend to everybody. Okay, let's do this. Did we just fight the PNGtuber? Yes. Their appearances are rather dissimilar from what we have encountered before. They appear to have grown more acute. They are evolutions of the PNGtuber. The kind of PNGtuber one transforms into depends on the types of sin that one has embodied in life. It is not surprising that there may be many variations to them. But we've never encountered anything like them before. Collecting the golden boughs could have expedited the PNGtuber growth process. Those boughs, they really have something to do with everything, huh? Our job is starting to look a lot more serious. Right, that reminds me. These PNGtuber are each supposed to represent some kind of sin, right? Yeah, so where's the envy one? Sin. My thoughts grow distant all of a sudden. The sinners grow distant while my thoughts draw nearer. Their voices grow muffled. The word sin feels oddly unfamiliar today. I don't know how to do muffled voice. It appears they have lost their sense of self, their original forms now forgotten to oblivion. Self. Aren't distortions kind of similar to that? Some people become distortions, and some people become Pekatula. I wonder what the difference is. Good question. I think I know. Planted in the hearts of all our seeds with ever-present potential to bloom. Executive manager. What'd you say? Val talked over ya, so I couldn't hear. If you would allow me to continue, maintaining the self even at times of extreme stress could cause one to evolve into a distortion, and when the light of that day descends upon the hearts of every human, blooming the seeds buried deep within. Manager? If one's devoured by their sins, they are reborn in the form of their image reflecting the dreamt by those who are nothing. Dante. Dante, what is... Oh, if one withstands, yet their sins the heart, these have... One withstands maybe blocks of different numbers. I mean, different... So maybe we can figure this out, because there's 3, like, one withstands sin or something. The heart. What the hell? Blockhead, what in the bloody hell are you talking about? I ill like the sound of that. Has something gone awry with their prosthetic head? Oh yeah, Indu! From the art book, that was... I wasn't sure about the choice to introduce her in the Yamcha pose, though. Yet, if one seeks to bear the Shao, the original hearts. Ego? Is that what you're speaking of? Oh. And in a world perceived through their own, the shall be unveiled to their egos, melt into by of sin. Huh? They're starting to talk a bit like my grandfather. Huh? Manager, your head! Executive manager, your head is on fire. Isn't it always on fire? Oh, what a blaze. I think they're about to explode. Only those who can define their own. Boy, we gotta do something before the clockhead bites it. Got any bright ideas, lass? What? Why Dawn? I don't know what to do. Only those who are awakened to their own. Ah! 'Tis scorching! I thought Manager Esquire's flaming head was merely for style, for I had not once felt such heat from it. Faust, what if they accidentally activated the self-destruct sequence? This heat. If we don't douse it now, it's going to melt everything around them. Yes, the operating principles are the same. Dante is, via the golden bough, connected to the root of the sapling planted in the subterranean area of the headquarters. Just to say that. Who gives a shite about the boughs? We gotta douse the flames on their head. Water? Doesn't anyone have water? We must make haste and douse the flames. Sometime later. We got a lore dump. We don't know what it's about. Ugh. Pray tell, art thou recovered? My eyes, if I had eyes, that is, opened slowly. I was lying on the ground, surrounded by the sinners. What happened? Do you not recall what had transpired? I guess I don't. I do remember waking up, or walking up to the stairs, and then suddenly feeling really dizzy. Executive manager, you must visit a workshop to get that looked workshop to get that looked at as soon as we return. Oh, workshop? Did I malfunction or something? Don't talk about them like you're talking about some machine. Either way, there isn't anything we can do about what just happened. Not here. We can discuss this later once we return. What has just transpired does not seem to pose any hindrance to our mission. Ingdu, where is... She has advanced without us. While I remain curious yet concerned about your condition, we must reconvene with her. The situation calls for urgency. Yeah, okay. There was a lot I didn't understand, but since we're in the middle of an operation, let's deal with this first. Why'd this have to break? Why now? There was a nervous-looking man on the top of the stairs, on the uppermost floor of the building. I wouldn't say he looks nervous. I could immediately tell that this man was unlike any other foe we faced in this building. I better be quiet in here. I hope that thing at least stays put. He kept looking into his pocket watch, as though he was expecting something awful to come out that door. His garb, which highly resembles the Kurokumo clan's standard outfits, suggests that he is a relevant individual in this case. It is possible to extrapolate from his outfit that he is of higher rank than any foe we have defeated on the course to this location. Then, before I even had a chance to suggest waiting for a bit to come up with a strategy, Indu was already charging at the man. You must be a captain of the Kurokumo clan. What the... You wish to hunt the blade lineage? Very well. Here I stand before you. Face my blade. I suppose this means that my men are all dead, huh? I'd toss you into that office if I could, but... the merchandise is still in there. Come on. Suppose I've got no choice but to fight. At least allow me to introduce myself. Then you can tell me who you are. Name's Jun, captain of the boys you killed. Ingdu, South-Su from the lineage of blades. A follower of mentor Bamboo-Hatted Kim. The hallway before the door falls silent. It is calm as a winter dawn. The two warriors, blades drawn, begin to take cautious steps. It's as though they are attempting to gauge the distance between each other. Ha! It was a sudden flash. When I came to my senses, the pair had suddenly switched sides, facing away from each other. It's so anime. The outcome of this clash. Oh! Come on, that's it? Huh? Miss Ingdu! Appears to have been Indu's defeat. She fell to her knees. I mean, I was just getting started. I'm surprised you even had any energy left for that attack. She's been fighting the Kurokumo clan henchmen on the front lines before we even had the chance to catch up. No wonder she's exhausted. It's the unrelenting passive. I must also remind you that she was on the verge of death not so long ago. She has overexerted herself. What? Are the rest of you gonna fight me too? This hardly seems fair, me against all of you. This Jun rested his blade on his shoulder with an annoyed scowl. I could tell from his single clash against Ingdu that he wasn't going to go down easily. Well, I don't like that we're all ganging up against this one guy, but we've got one loud clock for a head. What even is that? Is this some local T-Corp clock-shaped aesthetic fashion or something? It is a clock, right? Even has different sprites. You there? Is that clock head on time? Mate, what do you think? That clock ain't for telling time. Huh? What'd you decapitate yourself for? What a useless clock. Okay then. Any of you got a timepiece? Clock? A watch? Anyone? The watch broke again. Otis does. The sinners wordlessly begin to surround Jun. I guess not. Are any of you even wearing a watch? Otis does in like every identity. You must all be insane, sauntering about without a timepiece. Even if I did, I would hardly find it within myself to show it to thee. You're all really getting on my nerves. So come and get me. I'll cut you down if it's the last thing I do. Okay, not in... Yep, 2 waves? Okay. Let's just start with what we have. Oh yeah, I can actually look at your passives now. Okay, now I can finally... Keen Strike, on hit, inflict 1 bleed 3 times per turn. Inflict 1 more bleed, when in an attack skill inflicts bleed. Okay, slash, there we go, clean up. These are all Ruina. Okay, and what is the counter? The paralysis is mean. Sharp Edge, Sky Clearing Cut. See, I've mostly seen all of these. Oh wow, if this unit will use 5+ attack skills this turn, final power +5, all allies, 10-8. That's... I mean, basically, that says you don't want to leave it too long, and him alone. Okay, rules of the back streets. Add 1 more coin per every surviving other ally. Max 3. This is the scary one. Okay, no stagger. But since we're not in a dungeon, I'm a little less worried. Okay, heads on representation emitter. You're the only one that got hit. Did we take out everybody else? What was everybody worried about? Didn't even... Will Yield My Flesh get him? Maybe. What's my favorite of the Blade lineage? That'd actually be hard to choose. Aesthetically, I mean, it's hard not to pick Melso, but I like all of them, but I'm very fond of like the aesthetic that they went for with Faust. I wish her like battle sprite still had her hair tied up. The whole sort of like flower theme they're going for, I adore. Oh yes! Yield my flesh. Now let us converse for a moment. Endu seemed to have recovered somewhat as we fought. She bound Jun with a rope before throwing him to the ground. Ugh. I do not expect a mere captain to know why your organization has put a bounty on our heads. Wait, it wasn't just you, was it? Every Kurokumo clan filth we killed on our way up to this floor stood in our path like they were protecting something with their lives. Fine, here's the truth then. I like that they're not giving him a sprite. We're the victims here. Whatever do you mean? You guys really have a way of pushing my buttons, huh? We weren't part of the party pursuing you or cutting you down. That was none of my business. You're just one of many, many syndicates or organizations that were unlucky enough to be on the thumbs list. Our run-in was just a coincidence. We were ordered by the thumb to stand guard next to the black... How do you pronounce this? Is it steel? Oh yeah, just steel, okay. Everyone was on edge because we were supposed to transport it elsewhere pretty soon. And that's when you Blade lineage appeared out of nowhere. Out of nowhere? I see. So this is where a mentor is awakened. You... Sounds like you know something that I don't. These CGs. Can't say I've ever heard of a tech that could just blip people into existence just like that. But they were using a singularity or something. Besides, the Blade lineage never had a chance. Her numerical advantage was insurmountable. Of course. We had your friends cornered. We had no trouble cutting them down until there were but 3 of you left standing. Then, all of a sudden, your boss's eye suddenly began to glow and... I cut down everyone around him. It was a one-sided slaughter. What? Then? You got that right. Blade lineage, Kurokuma clan, didn't matter. He cut through everyone. So what the hell was I supposed to do? What were we supposed to do? I'm their captain. The lives of my men are my responsibility. I had to save them somehow. So I stayed behind to guard the door while my men guarded the entrance to this building. What other choice did I have? Delivery deadline's coming up. I'm finished. This won't end with me having to cut off a finger or 2. Darn it. Gah! Endu struck the back of Jun's neck with a swift precision and dropped him to the floor. Endu? The man had already been subdued. Wherefore didst thou? I'd merely put him to sleep. It would have caused us trouble had we not attempted to enter that room while he was conscious. I must talk to the mentor. See him with my own eyes. Have you gone deaf, lass? Your boss will cut out on anyone that gets too close. No, that cannot be. Dante, we can infer from what information we have gathered that... Yeah, I agree. There's a powerful aura coming from behind that door. I can sense it. Our mentor. Endu's hands tremble as they wrap around the doorknob. We must prepare for battle. I know that mentor Bamboo-Hatted Kim will do no such thing. She slammed the door open. Oh, only to come face to face with a distortion. Bamboo-Hatted Kim, ? Mentor, what is this? I recognize these wounds. These are your techniques. You, how could you put your blade to our fellows? Attempting to communicate seems futile. Pitch black flames lingered behind this man she called Bamboo-Hatted Kim, her mentor. Something had devoured him. There was something in his eyes. Fiendish malevolence. I could definitely sense it. This was a distortion. Cease your beastly howls and talk to me, please. Say something. Oi, don't get too close. The distortion unsheathed its blade in the blink of an eye. It sensed that something had entered its range. That stance. You're really going to kill. Get out of the way! As Endu stood there confused, Sinclair urgently hurried himself in her direction, and in that brief moment, the distortion's blade descended upon them as though it bisected the very space they inhabited. I surmise that Sinclair has entered this distortion's range as well. We have no choice but to suppress it. We tensed up, sensing the changing atmosphere. We slowly raised our weapons. It's okay, finally time to read your passives. Oh, never mind. Draw of the sword, 3 bleed, damage up, paralyze, 3 paralyze, 3 bleed, poise, slash damage up, slash resist down, evade, okay. And again, all just a body. Let's... Oh, this is a cool track. And I'm assuming similar weaknesses. Assuming the slash weaknesses, but let's just focus on getting sanity up first. Oh, and I like, he doesn't even flinch. when you win a clash, which is such a nice little touch. Okay. Nice missile. Okay, and was that Pierce normal? Okay, that's fine. Boys, overthrow. I want you going there. Oh, this is a cool track. Oh, there's negative coins. Oh. We got A paralysis. Yeah, I want to talk a bit about the next Canto and what I'm expecting after we finish this. Almost. Oh. There's counter. Unless we get the... Okay, stagger. There. Okay, anything to worry about? If not... Okay, here we go. Bamboo-hatted Kim. That's a sound effect. Bamboo-hatted Kim kneeled and caught his breath. Something began to shimmer behind him. This is a dungeon. A mirror dungeon of the Fathoms. This is just like the Ding Dong's bar in Friars, huh? It's Yumbong's, Gregor. Yumbong's. He has already entered the dungeon. Oh. So we've got to follow the bloke, eh? Yeah, we were ordered to secure the distortion as well, so... An immense, heavy sensation emanates from within that space. That monolith has to be somewhere in there too. Let us follow. While she was clearly dumbfounded by the turn of events, I could tell that she was determined to see this to the end. We had nothing more to add. Advancing. This place has taken the likeness of S-Corp. Not just anywhere in S-Corp. You could call this place the Fathoms of Ego? It appears that mentor Bamboo-hatted Kim's memories are affecting this place. Is there aught from his past that you are aware of? No, nothing in detail. I don't believe I have the right to divulge a depiction of his past based on hearsay, either. Chengdu continued in a morose tone. When he appeared so suddenly at this building, I don't suppose he had much trouble cutting down the Kurokumo clan henchmen. I'm certain he was flanked by competent men and women. It would not have mattered how much henchmen they threw against the mentor. Nothing short of a Kurokumo clan officer could have given him any trouble. In fact, I surmise that he would have been able to cut down 100 of their men on his own. But not all those who accompanied Master Bamboo-hatted Kim were as powerful as he. His capabilities lie far beyond our own. His fellows must have fallen one by one before the endless onslaught of the Kurokumo clan henchmen. And I cannot help but imagine that this sight must have reminded him of a rather tragic event in his past. An unpleasant event that that likely shook Mentor Bamboo Hatted Kim to the core. That alone fits numerous criteria that make it ripe for a manifestation of a distortion. It was in a very receptive state to the monolith's influences as well. So that is how the Mentor became beholden to his blade, like a fiend. Yet, still, how could he? We remained wordless and advanced as Indu despondently muttered to herself. It was all silent, save for the sound of our shoes lightly pressing into the soft soil beneath our feet. I'm quite excited for the new Mirror Dungeon, though. Obviously you give me card packs and I get excited. Just work on a bit of gluttony. I don't totally mind. I guess if I could choose what goes on with Mirror Dungeon, I don't want to lose, like, just the ability to pick fusion gifts. I mean, have the unlocked gift that you need to get the superpowered fusion gift. Just get a variety, just getting more ego resources. The tier 4 ego gifts are like some of the most fun. And do just speed up the process a lot. Did I ever try the tremor one? I think I might have once, but most of the time I go for the bleed or boys, honestly. On the subject of tremor, have you tried the new Heath? No, but I will be soon. Okay. I'm gonna go for the top one. I doubt with this we'll be able to get the superpower fusion when we're missing so many, but... Okay, yeah. This is not one I particularly want. So yeah, not the most powerful ones we could get, but... Hold on, just... Okay. Look at all that poise already. Poise is probably my favorite of the, I guess it's not a stat buff, so I'm glad it's gotten so much love this season. I really hope bleed for the next season though. I think bleed needs more love. But I will talk more about Heath after we do this. I think sinking's fine because of what you can do with it, but okay, we can ignore you. However, we don't have that many units. Because if you wanted to run a full sinking team, like, are you gonna use Geodis or Sinclair? And Burn's improving all the time, but I still don't think it's... Outside of Mirror Dungeon, the coin power is still an issue. Sinking team is literally just run Shank and Flower. It is. Spice Bush. We could just run wait.
된다면 사활을 거네.
And it works. I used I got some low turns. I think I did Ardor Blossom Moth in 2 turns using Sinking and Refraction Railway 3. I feel like with some of these statuses, now that I think about them, like we want ways to make them more interesting as a like I think a direction you could go is at least adding more different utility. What turn count did you end? I had 56, I think. I wanted to do 55, but I was tired of resetting. I put the details on Twitter, but I felt like with what I did, I could get 50 or under. I just didn't really feel like it, because it does require quite a bit of resetting. And then for like the super low turn counts, the ones where you do like Ahab Trio in 3 turns, just not really interested. Okay, nice. Come on, Faust. That's what I wanted. Now, we can yield our flesh. Anything? Ooh, cigarette holder. Let us take that. I'm trying to... Please let me buy it. Don't really need this. Oh, 4-leaf clover. Oh. And then we weren't able to get horseshoe, were we? I guess we could have enhanced, but take that. And then let's swap you for Sinclair, because Sinclair clashes better and that fragile is nice. But let's see if we can get to claim their bones on our side. I'll just finish. And yeah, Refraction Railway, it's fun, but the super low turn counts. I do like the challenge of it. It was more interesting this time than I think the previous runs, just because like there's so many more units and you can be a little more creative with team building and different approaches. But the super low turn count stuff just feels like so much resetting, and that's not enjoyable to me. Okay. Oh, this is a great background. So that thing behind him is... Indeed, that is the monolith. The artifact that must have entered his fathoms of ego the moment it imbued Bamboo-Hatted Kim with strength. This manor must be where the Mentor's last protectee resided before we departed S-Corp. Ah, such a massacre. Mentor, is the carnage the memory that has haunted your dreams in your waking hours for so long? Yet, the deaths of our dear fellows. Tears begin to well in Indu's eyes. Ah. Again, something murmurs in my head. Is this Bamboo-Hatted Kim's past? His somber voice, drenched with woe, echoes in my head. For a fleeting moment, I had this thing people called honor. Vile men, whose hearts are consumed by evil, oft approach various officials to seek harm. And I considered it an honorable deed to be a protector of the virtuous, to hew those who sought harm against them. Yet, to be virtuous in a world of the vicious was to be prey to this merciless world. And, before such overwhelming might of the vicious, the irrevocably corrupt officials, my strength was inconsequential. I had little choice but to leave S-Corp, cradling my broken spirit along my fellows. I've left my scarred honor behind at the land of my failure. They became vagabonds, lost, wandering in worry, aimless drifters without a place to call their home. Even their faith in my decision to leave began to crumble piece by piece. So did my faith in myself. Began to fall apart. I've already failed once. What's there to say that I am not failing my dear fellows once again? The least I could do is help them lead a stable life. Yet that invitation I received only led them to their demise. I have to say, really helped our side though. Bamboo Hat Kim is useful to endgame, and by the time you get it is probably the single most powerful page you have. In the end, I failed my mission. I failed my honor. I failed my dear fellows. Again, I'm returned to the land of my failure. The voice continued to murmur, but it had devolved to nothing but a low growl, quiet, incoherent rumbling. I can't help but feel a bit of sympathy at his suffocatingly painful past. But that's exactly why we have to face him. Free him from this distortion. Guys, we're putting an end to this. Right here, right now. Yes, it appears we have no choice. Indu's grown far too agitated to function properly in this battle. But it's all up to us now. Yeah, here we go. Now, do you have anything different? Poise, paralyzer. Should be easier since we have the sanity now, so still more conditions unmet. Oh. At 20% HP, gains a new pattern. At 20% or under 20% HP. Or minus, I never know what they mean by the minus there. Starting next turn, gain 20 growing resentment every turn. Growing resentment no longer expires. Okay. Conditions unmet. Dominating, these are all dominating. Okay. Oh, you say the story now is distorted, Bamboo Hat Kim. Let's... yeah, go for the slash. I love little touches like that. I really would like to yield flesh, but it... oh, there we do. Oh, Ishmael still doesn't have... okay. Yeah, so let's... oh wait, we're unopposed with all these. Oops. What's that one? Gain poise, on hit... sure. We'll get the fragile. Oh yeah. Yeah, okay. We'll get the stagger. Too bad. Too slow. When I don't stream for a while, I always get a bit nervous because I'm out of practice and... but always... getting to hang out with everybody always reminds me why I do it. Oh, nice miss though. Getting the last hit. The dungeon. After a not very grueling battle, and as we managed to drag Bamboo Hat Kim to his knees, like a mirage, the fathoms of ego began to fall apart. The monolith had already left the fathoms of ego and was back at the center of the office. Just as the office began to reassemble the one we had walked into, or had began to resemble the one we had walked into, the radio I carried began to buzz again. Hiya! Can you hear me? If you do, give me a TikTok. TikTok? Very funny, Dante. You know we just barely survived a deadly encounter, right? Well, she asked me to. Perfect! We really don't have much time left. Since it looks like the monolith's briefly stabilized, let me teach you how to lock it down. Don't take too long, or that distortion's gonna turn into an abnormality. Follow my instructions to a T and don't lag behind. It's all about precision and speed. She seems awfully cheerful for how dire the situation is. I followed the radio's instructions and reached out to the monolith with my palms. Oh, some light came out of it when I reached out with my fingers. The voice coming from the radio was pretty nonchalant about all this, but almost sounded like she could see exactly what I was looking at. Right, straight down from there. Yep, you're doing good. Now move left, take it slow now. I couldn't help but wonder if I was doing this right, but I still followed her directions and drew a trail of light with my hand over the monolith. Ugh. Minter! The shimmering black tendrils began to withdraw from Bamboo-Hatted Kim's body. Maybe the distortion is withdrawing too? Good work, detective. The levels are stabilizing. I can't... This is who I think it is? I can't seem to stop calling you detective, huh? Sorry, old habits die hard, you know? Sounded like she was reporting to someone else on the other side of the communication. Good work, bus dudes. LCA will be there in a minute, so just sit tight. Huh? LCA? Not that rude after-team lady from earlier? What? Ezra! They're here! Ezra! Well, anyways, thanks for the assist, everyone. LCD Distortion Task Force, Ezra. Over and out. My skill got noise gated. Oh. And they can show up here now. Oh, this is... Oh, you know what? Now I'm thinking Nishikuji did a recent fan art. Did a recent fan art of, I think, Ezra and Moses. And I didn't think anything of it because Nishikuji is like became the official artist for Distortion Detective, but I need to go look at them more carefully now. If they show up, maybe we can hear their voices. Yes! The radio shut off before any of us had the chance to say anything. Again. And not 5 seconds later. My, they're really piling in, huh? LCA, Special Operations Unit. Orders. Commencing secured item retrieval. That is an outfit. Right, the item is... Custody target. T-276 confirmed and secured. Well, looks like our job is done here. I didn't even have to say anything, not that they could hear me anyway, before the uniformed troops marched in and started attaching various tools to the monolith. Trouble. T-27601 unconfirmed, requesting location. What are you blathering on about? Rewording. Where's the distorted individual? Ah, I'm aware of whom you seek. Sit next to the monolith. Huh? Where has he gone? The individual by the name of Engdu dragged him behind the sofa. Behind that sofa. Approximate time of event, 3 minutes ago. Didn't I ask you to tell us if you noticed something important going on in the background? I will make an immediate report should an identical event occur. That's when I noticed that the LCA agents were going visibly uneasy. Alert. Abnormal reaction detected from an entity in T-27601's proximity. And when that agent ran over and kicked over the sofa. Miss Ingdu. There was Ingdu, her arms tightly wrapped around Bamboo-Hatted Kim. Her hand, holding a blade that dug deep into her mentor's flesh. I know not of your painful past. I cannot possibly know in detail what you have gone through. But that cannot be a just reason, an excuse for cutting down your own fellows. Missing Du, that man was not himself. If the blade has consumed my mentor, turned him into a fiend, and I'll end him myself. Has to be me. No, not at all. It's all excuses. That's all it is. If Mentor didn't bring some odd invitation to us, if he hadn't caused us to flee S-Corp, our home, to begin with. Yes. Oh. Hello? I hear you. Your voice is finally growing clearer. Mutation. Distortion of the subject entity confirmed. Suspicion. Phase 1 of the monolith reactivation process may have been engaged. Can't just let her be. She's going to distort. Merceau, knock Miss Ndu out. Oof. I guess that works. That's all Philip needed. Merceau struck Ndu hard before the LCH agents even had a chance to do anything. Stabilized. Distortion nullified by the subject's loss of consciousness. Stab wound confirmed on subject T27601. Wound not critical. Will not pose challenge to retrieval and recovery. I have carried out the task as you have ordered. Thank you. Whoa, what just happened? Was that caused by the monolith's influence too? A plausible explanation. The monolith was properly sealed, but its lingering influence seems to have seeped into her. Oh, hey! The levels went bonkers over there just now. The radio began buzzing all on its own again. Requesting radio. I'll receive LCD's message. Okay. Acknowledged. Please speak. Huh? Oh, you're LCA, aren't you? I'm Ezra from LCD. Nice to... Acknowledged. Commencing sitrep. You know what? You're not the only one who knows how to cut people off. I already got your sitrep, okay? I don't need it. There are 2 people there, right? Just bring them both over here. Negative. Exact orders state that retrieval targets are to be... Come on, listen up some, huh? Concern. The monolith alone will be a difficult subject to contain. Oh, that's okay. Our very own LCD team leader said she'll take care of it. Besides, that monolith? Detective and I have successfully retrieved that before. It's been a while since I read Distortion Detective. Was this from the village chapter? It's a cube in the okay. The cube in the village. Yes, I need to read that over honestly, but I do vaguely remember. Oh, and the Agricorp building. Yes, okay. It's coming back a little bit. And considering that the 2 of them are both returnees from the library, considering that the 2 of them have both been pulled from the edge of distortion, it'll definitely help us with our records, don't you think? Understood. However, the hell? Are we kidnapping them from some dodgy human experiments or something? Okay, so I know there's been scary rumors of kidnappings in T-Core. Oh. But what we're doing here is completely unrelated, alright? I'd appreciate if you didn't compare us to likes of those Backstreets rumors. Sure, you guys can leave them there, but if you don't take them in, they'll distort and get killed. And who knows, the Kurokumo clan or even the Thumb could catch wind of this and pick them up instead. Suppose you're right. Anyways, make sure to bring them in, both of them, okay? Acknowledged. Retrieving now. The call dropped. The agent swarmed around the pair, bound them, and disappeared out the door. All this was done in one fluid, practiced motion. I don't know when it happened, but they'd already retrieved the monolith when that LC agent picked up LCD's call. Right, so mission accomplished, huh? I guess so. Warning. Recommended action for the manager. Immediate extraction from the scene. Imminent arrival of the Thumb, highly likely. So after the middle is the Thumb. What I wouldn't give to see the look on their stuck-up faces. Think think he's telling us to get out of here before the thumb catches us red-handed. Correction, Limbus Company was already on a crash course against the thumb. Oh, the moment we commence this mission. That makes sense. It'll only be a matter of time before they'll put the pieces together and realize that we're involved in what happened. Are you sure we can handle not only the middle, but also the thumb? Irrelevant. A foe is a friend, and a friend is a foe for Limbus Company. Delayed. Extracting scene first. With that cryptic message, the LCA agent quickly withdrew from the scene. He knows something, but won't tell us what it is. At least, that was the impression I got from the way he spoke. I came to meet so many departments of the company in such quick succession. The LCA, the LCD, and the LCCA. An old question arose once again, something I'd forgotten as we kept ourselves busy with the missions we've carried out so far. I really don't know much about this company I'm working for. And there's this mysterious Herman and the equally puzzling Damien. Maybe, in the grand scheme of things, I really don't know anything. Maybe what I know amounts to nothing more than a pinch of knowledge available to the powers that be. I thought we were pretty deep into our journey, but I was starting to feel that, in the far future, if I were to look back on the records of this journey, we wouldn't even be 10 pages into the book. Are we confirming Purgatorio and Paradiso? I hope so. I began walking back to the bus with the sinners, my head further mired in confusion. Ooh-wee. We really ran into a lot of people in such a short time, huh? Well, I'm pretty happy I got to know more about the workings of the company. Once we were returned to the bus, the sinners began chatting away about what had just happened. I wonder what's going to happen to Engdu or Bamboo-Hatted Kim. That does not appear to be information we are privy to. Though we all work under the same company, all that the LCD shared with us was the name of our contact, Ezra. Then is Limbus Company truly kidnapping people for human You don't just start experimenting on humans like that. It's not something that just happens. Remember what the LCD woman said? Rumors are just that, rumors. Gregor furrowed his brows as though some unpleasant memories of the past began flooding in. He dug into his pockets for a cigarette. There's LCD, but LCA just seems really out of place, even when compared to other departments. It's like they're from a completely different company. As we made our way back to the bus, I slowly began to organize my thoughts and everything that's happened. I did know that it wasn't the most productive thing for me to do. Faust, you're not going to answer any of my questions, are you? I apologize. At the present moment, it is difficult for me to disclose any information that does not concern the LCB department. It's like impatience is a prerequisite for boarding this bus, manager or sinner. Vigilius sighed as he muttered. He must have been burying my clock head in his palms, or he must have seen me burying my clock head in his palms. Your journey will inevitably lead to answers to all your questions, Dante. Just follow the path, and it shall all be revealed. You have no reason to rush. Besides, Vigilius' gaze fixed, for a brief moment slightly above my head. I wonder if he's looking at my flame. It's nothing. Perhaps your impatience is rubbing off on me. Suppose I shall find out along the way as well. Vigilius scoffed, muttered something incomprehensible to himself, then turned away from me. It was clear that he had no intention of continuing this exchange. Let's go, Karen. Been waiting for vroom time. Driving to the famous heights of T-Corp. So, the bus took off once again, sometimes bustling, sometimes dead silent. I was tweeting about it. I was tweeting my guesses for the Battle Pass Ego, and my thought was, I really like Dreaming Electric Sheep. Or I guess the abnormality is just electric sheep, right? And the whole storm theme seems to fit very well with this Canto. However, I would like Ishmael to get it. And Ishmael's been in the last 2 battle pass. I should put Dawn down for my electric sheep guess. My guesses were electric sheep, Isang, and Dawn. I saw some people were like, how did you guess all the sinners? And it really was just the other 6 that weren't on the last battle pass. The one thing about electric sheep is I'm not missing any. Lifetime Stew. Yeah, Wishing Cairn's Tet. I'd like to see... I hope at least for Dawn... I mean, it's an obvious choice for Charge. I hope at least for Dawn, it leans more on the / Envy, maybe? Because she already has, like, the Charge ego. Which, if you're on a Charge team, I don't see any reason why you'd ever replace Telepole. And I want to upgrade Fluid Sac. So I might hold off on upgrading Wishing Cairn. I was surprised about no Marriage Spider, because that feels so in tune with Wuthering Heights. And my guesses for that were Gregor Marriage Spider and Otis, because she also has the marriage theme, although she doesn't, I don't think she really feels thematically related to Marriage Spider, because her relationship, it doesn't really fit the like toxic codependent relationship, Odysseus and Penelope, but... And then Bygone Days is like the other obvious Wuthering Heights that's directly references Wuthering Heights, but I wasn't sure where they'd go with the designs, but they do look really cool. It's that's an interesting choice because it's so related to Nelly. That makes me wonder, we haven't seen somebody, they brought up the potential just now that distortions can turn into abnormalities. So it almost feels like it could be setting up for Nelly to go all the way. And I think, actually my thought, let's do a little Wuthering Heights talk. People are assuming Nelly would die because she's an announcer. Yeah, so my thought, I was thinking about it. I was reading to prepare myself. I was also reading some papers on it just to get like a more well-rounded understanding of it. And one of them was called The Villain of Wuthering Heights. And this is from like the 1950s. I haven't finished it, but I want to go back, and it's all about, just funny with that title, I thought, we're talking about society? But no, it's all about how Nelly is the main villain of Wuthering Heights. Which is, I mean, it's up to interpretation somewhat, but it's certainly a very solid reading. I think it depends on how you feel about Nelly. So that made me, my thought was, well, Heathcliff is technically the villain. Well, it treats Nelly, I haven't read the whole paper. It's for free, you can find it on Google Scholar. The PDF's there. It's just, she as the narrator has the ability to twist things to make herself look better, but also she's pretty responsible for a lot of the events that went on. So I was thinking, so far the endings have sort of been having us having a rogues gallery being recruited after Ahab was recruited. I thought if we're recruiting somebody from every Canto, I actually think Nelly would fit in if they really played up the like mastermind role. I see her fitting well into, I mean, either she distorts or she just joins Herman's crew. But the announcement of the announcer actually makes me a little less confident in that, because it'd be like giving Ahab or Herman an announcer. I don't see them getting something this early. Or Damien's crew, yes, if she distorts. There's also everything about putting time track, or making this T-Corp. It's hard for me to like speculate because there's so much they can do with time travel. Other characters, Edgar, I don't, unless they took like a very different view on his character, I don't think there's enough to work with him as a full-on villain. You could do it. I feel like it's more likely that his villainy will be protecting Kathy. Most people expect Kathy to be the villain. It's hard, without meeting her, she's either going to be the main villain, or I'm like, it's either Nelly or I feel like she's most likely to be sort of the final boss. Again, this is based off like nothing, very little. But since we have 3 parts vaguely based on last 2 cantos, maybe part 1 boss, I guess the rabbits from the trailer. Part 2 is Hindley. I don't see, if Hindley is still around and is awful, I don't see any way of us not fighting him. It would be the most cathartic fight. So I could see him as like either end of part 2 or like beginning of part 3. But going with him part 2, then maybe Edgar at the beginning of part 3 or Nelly, depending how much they want to go for Mastermind. Kathy, there's a lot of, I'm very interested what they do with Kathy. There's a lot of like directions they could take with her. Like, I've been thinking about her a lot. It's hard for me to, I don't want to like go into any predictions, but the one thing I have no idea is how they're gonna do the body sack animation into like the final heroic moment. My best guess is he would just get a full new animation. Like, even more than Ishmael getting a changed line. It'd have to be cathartic. Again. I wonder if the rabbits are Heath Syndicate. I mean, that'd be funny. I mean, given that his like premiere ID is also a rabbit. Oh, Nelly ID that Otis has. I don't know if it's Nelly, because Nelly looks like she had like a maid headdress. I'm guessing Otis is actually Joseph, who's the butler. It's been a while since a more sobering ending. Yeah, that's also what I would like a more, not I would like it. I think like Heathcliff as a character deserves more than like what a bad ending is at this point. But we've had a lot of wins. I would say the book itself is a bit more bittersweet, but everybody's gotten some character development from it. I don't want like Heathcliff being set back hugely, so that's why I can't really imagine it being super bad. But if we do have like villain Kathy and some sort of Kathy death, I just wonder if his main sprite, I don't know if you can see it here, he wears a wedding ring in all of his sprites. I wonder if, because I wondered with Canto 5 if they would update Ishmael's eyes. But for what it's worth, I have to say I didn't actually finish the whole book. I've had many other books to be reading for school, so I haven't read the whole thing, but I know the gist. I got over halfway. I'll be interested to see whether because it's T-Corp chapter, there is actually like a very viable way to incorporate the second generation. I feel like that's talking about them like they're Fire Emblem characters. Linton, you're back on the barracks. You didn't inherit Galeforth. Because obviously we're not at the point where like the children can be that old. But you could, I was thinking about that, like you could show a future where the bad ending Heath, and since our like sort of the main identity tends to be like the bad ending identity as opposed to being somebody specific, I'd imagine it would be like more like older Heathcliff from the book. That's sort of my vibe. Okay, so there's another risk levels and classifications. Okay, we can do that. Hopefully not too long. I guess traffic sucks no matter which nest we go to. We've been traveling at a snail's pace through the extreme congestion of the nest for several days now. Rhodia, clearly affected by this boredom, sighed and muttered. We've been through similar long periods of inactivity before, but boredom isn't something one can easily get used to. I suppose it's become part of my job to listen to the sinners complain about the slow pace of our travel. How much longer until the T-Corp immigration checkpoint? My only option is to give them a reminder of how far we are from our destination. Considering that we will be on standby for approximately a day at our next stop, and taking into account various other stops we'll be making en route, our estimated time of arrival is in 3 days. Aww. It's not like we're traveling very far, with this awful traffic. Feels way further than it really is. It does make me wonder how many people do have cars. Or like travel by roads in the city. Gregor's right. It didn't seem like the city was that big. Maybe there's something to these inevitable, overly long travel times. Something I've yet to understand. I guess it could be like intentional. To make sure they're there at the right time. I guess driving around in a large bus through the narrow back streets is what's taking us a long time. I believe that it would have been faster to march on foot. Yet, whatever room and board. Are you unaware that camping out in the open is a natural part of any long march? Hey, Officer Otis. Not everyone's been a soldier here. And if we're unlucky, we might even run into those terrifying sweepers before the break of dawn. Even a partial mention of their name drains all color from Sinclair's face. I remember what the Sinners once told me about them. That, before the break of dawn, there are these things called sweepers that sweep up every trash in the back streets. It's kind of terrifying how broad their definition of trash can be. They call that hour the night in the back streets, or something like that. This bus is one of the few vehicles recognized by the city as a residential vehicle, which means that we remain safe from the hands of sweepers. Attempting to sleep outside the bus in the back streets would not permit a restful sleep. Instead, one would be forced to survive the onslaught of the sweepers for an hour in the early hours of dawn. Makes sense. Those sweepers do steer clear of the residential areas after all. Sweepers give me a bad memory from that Runa fight. It was not. I don't think that's high up on anybody's list of favorite fights. Oh, particularly if you have to do it multiple times to get all the pages. A slow yet safe travel by vehicle, or a fast yet high-risk march on foot. This is quite the strategic dilemma. I do not believe that the latter option is up for consideration of any fellow. The bus is once again consumed by commotion. And into that commotion barged into the creak of an opening door and a familiar sigh. I understand that you all must be quite impatient. We are precisely on schedule, so save your breaths and stop complaining. By the looks on your faces, I would have been worried about a mutiny if I didn't know better. Those papers in your hand, new orders from the higher-ups? Regilius was holding what appeared to be a bundle of freshly printed paper. This wasn't the first time something like this happened. Sometimes, after communicating in his room with the higher-ups of the company, he'd bring out a few sheets of paper to bring us up to speed. Yes, a new update. Don't tell me we're going on another detour. I'll say that I'm quite done cleaning up these distorted messes. Look, we have to get... Stop whining like a petulant child. There won't be any more details until we reach our current destination. Regilius furrowed his brows, walked up to the front of the bus, and leaned against one of the first row chairs. He began leisurely shuffling through the documents. This is just an announcement. It says here that there will be changes to how your records of abnormalities, distortions, and PNGtuber are categorized. Huh. Wait, so we gotta do a bunch of paperwork? No. Once completed, your observation logs are all digitized and shared with the upper echelons of the company. Of course, the observation logs themselves need to be edited. There may be orders to make direct adjustments by hand. However, categorization of each entity will be updated automatically. They are merely informing the sinners of the upcoming changes. It is nice to have someone else do the explaining for once. She was right. I presume that this has aught to do with the new types of PNGtuber that we have encountered before. Yes, but that isn't all. Vigilius closed his eyes and wearily and lightly folded the papers in his hands. He called out to the two sinners. Isang, Ishmael. He was pointing at Ishmael and Isang. Yeah? You've called upon my name? Oh. I'll leave it to you two model students to explain the contents of these documents. I don't feel like I'm up to the task of explaining what's on the paper to all of you. With that, Vigilius pretty much shoved the paper into Ishmael's hands before taking a seat in the front row of the bus. Did he just dump his responsibility onto us? Ishmael didn't seem too happy about the sudden turn of events. Still, she opened the documents and began reading. You can never tell if he actually doesn't care about us, or if he just naturally comes off as a cold person. So what does this thing say? Is she... Give me a sec, so... Does it say anything new about the abnormalities? Looks like these documents are from the LCD. The sender address says... Oh, LCD is the department that contacted Manager Esquire, is it not? Ezra, was it? I still vividly remember a chaotic, bubbly voice coming through the radio. The former Let her finish! Bah! The bus begins to fill with the familiar hectic buzz once again. Well, if you would allow me to... Miss Ishmael? Good use for that sprite. Isang chimed in to help with Ishmael's explanation of the documents, but... This is exactly why I'm the only one who ever reads the guides. I can see veins starting to pop in Ishmael's fingers. At this rate, she's going to drop the documents in favor of her mace. Wait, Ishmael, I got this. Calm down. I hurried over to Ishmael and practically hung onto the documents in her hands. We nearly tore the bundle of documents in half, but she quickly gave up and loosened her grip. Ryoshu, Otis, please keep Don Quixote and Heathcliff quiet while I take care of this. Oh yes, this will be fun. Without killing them or beating them up, please. Bah. Ryoshu slowly lowered Don Quixote's lance she picked up. Alright, then. If you have any questions while Ishmael reads from the document, raise your hands to be recognized. Isang, Faust, you guys don't need to raise your hands to speak, so please chime in if there are any details you can elaborate on. Understood. Very well. Rhodia, if anyone tries to speak out of turn, please smack them lightly in the head. If you do good, I'll make sure to order you extra desserts during our team dinner. You sure know how to motivate people, Dante. What an impressive growth of leadership capabilities, Executive Manager. Alrighty then. First bonk goes to... Wait, this wasn't... A few minutes later. After a quick commotion, I found the situation settled enough to return the documents to Ishmael's hands. Then, I'll leave it to you. So, the former L Corp, also known as Lobotomy Corporation, used to contain and manage the abnormalities we faced in their branches. Even taking into account that their strengths were suppressed by the Golden Bows, there was a pretty significant difference between their risk level categorizations and their actual risk involved facing them. Other employees and higher-ups of Limbus company also apparently felt that something was familiar yet off. That's why they investigated this issue through the LCD department. So far, there have been 5 categories of risk levels. 5? Oh, aren't there only 4 of them? Yep, haven't seen any else. Rhodia punched Heathcliff in the crown of his head, and he promptly slumped to the ground, out cold. Maybe it was the suddenness of the attack that did it? You didn't kill him, did you? Nah, he'll be fine. It's Heath. It's not like I smacked him that hard. Sinclair quietly raised his hand. Alright, you can go ahead. Ishmael nodded at Sinclair. Well, I thought there were only 4 risk levels. Cyan, Tet, Hay, Vav, just like Heathcliff said. They're the ones we've seen so far, yeah. But according to these documents, the highest risk level category is labeled Aleph. Like I said earlier, there's a pretty significant disparity between their categorization standards and our experience with them in the field. Which is why they're apparently planning to make overhauls to those standards, by Limbus company standards. Go ahead, Milso. I must inquire what exactly this overhaul entails. Does this mean that the abnormalities will be recategorized within the pre-existing framework categorization, or will additional risk level categories be created? It doesn't elaborate that far. It says here that Lobotomy Corporation used each abnormality's enkephalin production capability to categorize them into different risk levels. How does it work with Army in Black? Abnormalities with complicated, difficult management conditions apparently produced more enkephalin. I guess the more complicated an abnormality is, the harder they are to fight. That does line up with our own experiences, sort of. But it can hardly be said that it was flawless. Looks to me like they're trying to make these risk levels better reflect our own field experiences, which doesn't rule out the possibility of them adding more tiers to the pre-existing ones. We conduct not management but combat against these foes. It is sensible that the standards for risk levels be adjusted in accordance to— Oh! Rodeo, wait. His son can speak without raising his hand. Oh, right. My bad. I managed to stop Rhodia just before her fist connected with Yisang's crown. It was almost as if she was moving based on pure instinct. So that's why we're overhauling the risk levels based on the actual risk each abnormality poses in battle. So we do well to be wary of possible changes to the risk levels written in the observation logs. Oh, and they'll let us know once the precise details are decided. The next section is about distortions, which... Don Quixote raised her hand. But Ishmael continued to explain without coming to a stop. She probably just ignored her. So far, we've been using the same subject classification codes as abnormalities for distortions, but it's gotten pretty clear that there is a big difference between them, enough to give these two groups distinct classification codes. That difference being... Honglu raised his hand, and Ishmael nodded. Don Quixote appeared a bit crestfallen. The difference is that, when defeated, abnormalities transform into their egg-like forms, but distortions don't, am I right? Correct. Distortions can be completely subdued by simply defeating them in battle, but any other method of fully slaying an abnormality is yet to be discovered, even in theory. So she says, we've all had our first-hand experiences against them, so it shouldn't be too hard to understand. Here comes the last subject. This one's about the Pecatula. They're going to give them a classification code scheme different from the abnormalities as well, including the new type of Pecatula we recently encountered. Let's see, classification basis, abnormalities and distortions both have elements of uniqueness that is missing in each individual Pecatula. Considering this, it has been deemed... Okay, I don't really get what this is talking about. House walked up next to Ishmael and began to explain. Uniqueness, in this context, refers to the fact that no same entity exhibits the same location. It would be helpful to recall that our encounters with these Pecatula have always been against multiple duplicates of the same category of Pecatulum. However, no such encounters have been made against distortions and abnormalities. Hopefully, this has been a sufficient explanation for all. Right, so simply put, Heath's back. You can simply toss all Pecatula... You can simply toss them Pecatula all into the same bin, but each and every one of them abnormalities and distortions is unique and special, huh? They could have explained it much easier if they just... Bonk! Heathcliff seemed to have woken up from his coma, but... I'll be looking forward to the extra dessert. His moment of lucidity barely lasted a moment. And that's all there is to it. This is pretty great, huh? It's refreshing doing something like this once in a while. Don Quixote has not lowered her hand since Ishmael ignored her the first time. Not even for a brief moment. Fine. Ask away. Dost thou know the name of the LCD employee who hath composed that report? Ishmael seemed a bit taken aback that Don Quixote had actually managed to ask a rather sensible question, even though it was asked with that very same enthusiasm she has when talking about fixers, that is. Oh, sure. Give me a sec. Sender LCD on-site investigative reasoning team leader Moses. Well, we might as well keep that name in mind, since we'll probably run into them sooner or later. I'm sorry for ignoring you, Don Quixote. This makes me think Don's history has something to do with distortion. I mean, I think that was definitely hinted about earlier, but oh, interesting. I'm just thinking that would be a fun time to meet with the distortion detective crew. Though Don Quixote was finally given the answer she so passionately craved, she did not appear happy or excited about it. Instead, she seemed to be absorbed in deep thought. Something wrong, Don Quixote? I recall hearing that name in the past, yet I cannot quite recall as to who that name may have belonged to. Okay, now we're actually done. Darn, thought I'd be able to collect a bit more dessert. This was more time-consuming than it was initially expected. Dante, now? Oh right, it's about time. Alright then, I hereby confirm today's close of business for the sinners. This could have dragged on for much longer, but the sinners were thankfully pretty cooperative, so we managed to finish our day early. I followed the sinners to the back door of the bus, my heart a little bit lighter than it was at the start of the day. I feel like I'm forgetting something. It took me about 30 minutes to realize that we left Heathcliff out cold on the bus floor. Oh, Heath. Poor Heath. I think we got more development for Dawn there than Heath right before his own Canto. That was a fun little episode, yes. I really wish I didn't have to read them, but voice them out. Reading, it was just making me think I meant to mention it, but I want to see if Heathcliff's voice actor read out this Uptie story, because he does do Uptie stories sometimes. I haven't checked if he streams since. I don't know where he streams now, because I thought, but he puts all his, I thought Twitch was going down in Korea, but he puts all of his VODs up on YouTube. His username is something like Hongkun? I think it might actually have a number after it, but I don't remember. But if you search his name in Korean, he should appear pretty quickly. Summer coming up. So, and exciting things coming up if you've seen my Twitter. But hopefully I want to do a proper update about how things are going in a little bit. So thank you everybody. And I hope you have a lovely, thank you, Kabak, thank you. I hope everybody has a lovely rest of the weekend, and I will see you next week for Canto 6. Bye-bye.